leprosy. Because the prophet had not acted as he expected, Naaman resolved to leave. But on the way, his servants urged him to follow the prophet's instructions. Though still disgruntled, Naaman obeyed. And when he dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, his flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. Let me make some quick observations that Naaman, though a great commander, suffered from leprosy, a serious life-altering disease that carried stigma and diminished his well-being. The servant girl, though young and powerless, pointed Naaman towards the prophet of Israel who could help him. I think we can pick some highlights from this young girl and realize 3 important dimensions in seeking to access medical care and help. First is the fact that this young girl, young as she was, she had information. And I think that pharmacists, this is a lesson we should be able to learn. At whatever level she had information, even in foreign land. Secondly, she knew the place of advocacy. She was able to talk to the necessary authority, the wife of Naaman, and gave guidance on where she thought they could get help. But thirdly, she also knew the place of guidance in accessing help. These 3, awareness, advocacy, and guidance, as portrayed by this young girl, were key in directing, or are key even in directing people for what we call timely diagnosis, proper treatment, and the much-needed support. The unnamed captive girl, whose identity is concealed, taken from Israel by the Arameans, is a pointer to the power of information, advocacy, and guidance, even in the profession of pharmacy. There is more than just having the skill and the knowledge. There is more to how this must be holistic in approach. The preoccupation with the commercialization of this profession has adverse effects on the practitioner's consciousness that there are ways we can guide patients to get help. In closing, Naaman's story, especially in relationship to the young girl, reminds us that advancing access to quality interventions, whether it is in cancer or leprosy, requires awareness on the part of the people, humility, overcoming barriers, applying simple but effective solutions. Remember, he was told just to go to a place where he would get help and dip himself 7 times. And there is also something that is interesting here, because we have an authority being guided by a girl who seemed very simple, but guided them to what we call equitable access of resources that were available. This morning, as we enter into a conversation about accessing this sort of help with the relationship to cancer, our prayer is that God will give us the wisdom of the young captive girl, that we will be able to gather that information that we have and pass it accordingly. May this conference therefore become an anchor of us becoming advocates, but also people who can guide others like this captive girl. Become aid givers and direction. Let us pray. Father, we thank you so much that indeed there is no conversation that can happen among humanity that cannot locate its basis on your revelation, the living word. We thank you that even though we wrestle with the threats posed to us in our community and the society by cancer, we are not the first to go through such. The ancient society suffered different other forms of ailments, some of which threatened the possibilities and the lives of people. Among those was leprosy. And in this narrative, we can draw inspiration and guidance and guidelines to guide us even as pharmacists, as we practice, as we prepare to go into a market that needs help. That we realize we can take the roles that were played by this young captive girl, who even though she was a foreigner, was loaded with information. She knew which direction she would guide. And with so many patients who are looking for direction and guidance. And it's our prayer that as we go through this conference, there will be an enlightenment in terms of the roles we can play as not only as pharmacists, but as those who have been entrusted with the knowledge within our society. And so it is now my prayer that we dedicate this conference to you so that through the time of presentations, your presence will illuminate our minds to discover, to know, and to be challenged so that we can become participants in what you are doing. We pray for all the facilitators from now to the end that you use each one of them to engage us in a way that honors your name. And so we dedicate this to you as we pray for your blessings, as we invoke your presence in this conference, in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Reverend Mutuku, for the dose of devotion. I'm so nostalgic of the chapel services that we used to have at the Convocation Hall. You've reminded us that indeed before we prescribe science, we must dispense faith. And now to the next speaker, allow me to invite Dr. Ri, who will enable us to open the pharmacy shelves of this conference. Allowed me to invite a man who measures not just in molecules, but in milestone, the Assistant Dean, School of Pharmacy, Dr. Richard Kagia. Karibu.
Thank you, Dr. Ogoti. I'm Richard Kagia, HOD, Head of Department, Clinical Pharmacy and Pharmacology. And on behalf of our Dean, who is out on official duty, allow me to read his opening remarks. And this is what he says. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to the Kabarak University School of Pharmacy and International Cancer Institute Conference 2025 on advancing access to quality cancer care and control. Cancer remains one of the greatest health challenges of our time, yet it is also an area where we have seen incredible progress through research, innovation, and teamwork across the health professions. Pharmacists play a vital role in this fight, from ensuring the safe and effective use of chemotherapy and other treatment modalities, to developing new therapies, to supporting patients through their treatment journeys. Pharmacy is at the heart of cancer care. This conference is about more than sharing knowledge. It is about collaboration. As you can see here today, we have several institutions. We have Professor Mansoor from Aga Khan University. We have Dr. Emily from National Cancer Institute. We have Professor Chite from International Cancer Institute. We have members from GSK, MEDS, just to mention but a few. So as you can see, there are many institutions represented here. It is an opportunity to learn from each other, to spark new ideas, and to build strong partnerships that will ultimately benefit patients and families. I encourage you to make the most of the sessions, the discussions, and the networking ahead. Established in 2016, the School of Pharmacy offers a 5-year Bachelor of Pharmacy program and a Master of Pharmacy in Oncology Pharmacy program. And soon, in January, we'll be launching the Master of Pharmacy in Pharmaceutical Manufacturing. Our approach to teaching and learning involves the use of case-based learning to enhance critical thinking and problem-solving skills. On behalf of the School of Pharmacy, I thank you for joining us, and I wish you a successful and inspiring conference. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the Dean, now I'd like to invite the Director, International Cancer Institute. This conference we are doing in conjunction with International Cancer Institute. So allow me to welcome Professor Fredrick Chite to come and give his remarks. Thereafter, I will introduce the Deputy Vice-Chancellor. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and I'm very happy to be here today. I usually don't read speeches, so allow me if I just speak off the cuff. So the Vice-Chancellor of Kabarak University, it's really a pleasure to be back here 3 years later, when we signed the agreement of working together, we didn't know what we were actually signing up to. And it has actually just become one of the greatest things that I've ever done professionally. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you so much. And then to all the teams, the administrators of Kabarak University, I can tell you I've worked in so many universities, both in the US and in Kenya. And you guys really have a wonderful team here that really cares so much about the next generation. And I'm not just saying this because I'm part of it now, albeit like tangentially, but it's because the teaching that you get here, like if you look at oncology pharmacy program, we've been doing oncology for the longest time. If you look at Professor Mansoor, who is a very close friend, we've been doing oncology for a very long time. But we can tell you this, that you cannot really improve the quality of cancer care without oncology pharmacies. And one of the reasons is because everything we deal with is about interventions. And the interventions sometimes, most of them, sometimes it can be because of infrastructure, equipment, and all that. But oftentimes, in most of the clinical trials, it's the drugs. And we are looking at even, I saw in the morning when one of your faculty was presenting about nanoparticles and nanodelivery. We are looking at ways in which we can actually make cancer care to be pretty much like hypertension, like diabetes. We make it into a chronic disease instead of a death sentence. And most importantly, we are looking at how can we leverage precision medicine, pharmacogenomics, pharmacogenetics, to ensure that patients have minimal side effects profile from the drugs they are receiving, but at the same time, the drugs are efficacious. And remember, we are talking about drugs. And who are the drug dealers? Pharmacists. So I can say this, that it gives me so much pleasure, and it's such an honor for us to partner in this course, not only in research, because innovation is the way to go. And for those pharmacies that have rotated in International Cancer Institute, I believe in clinical trials, and Professor Mansoor as well. Between Aga Khan University Hospital and International Cancer Institute, we probably represent 80% of oncology trials in Kenya. So our hope is that Kabarak University, not only are you graduating the current generation of what to do right now, but also what to do in the future. And we are here to support you. We are here to work very closely with you. Whatever you need in terms of professional development, we are here to do. And when you need, spiritual nourishment, we know where to go. But for me, you come for scientific and professional nourishment. And one of the other things is that I had written several things here, but the other person I want to thank is Professor John Ochola. Professor Ochola, thank you so much. I remember the time you came with your team to ICI several years ago, Asante Sana. And I can tell you that we'll continue in the same partnership and even do much more. And then there is the Dean, School of Pharmacy. Dr. Titus Suge is not around. However, please pass my sincere regards to him. Irene Weru, I've not seen Dr. Irene Weru, but she's also one of, Dr. Irene, oh, she's, just mention her and she comes. So Irene Weru is one of those people that are very inspirational in oncology pharmacy circles. I've known her for a very, very long time. And even when we were doing the curricular development about 6 years ago, Dr. Irene Weru was one of our leaders in this, and as well as all the brilliant inaugural class. The 17 students in the initial class of Masters of Oncology. You know, there are times you teach a class and you wonder, how did they get here? I don't really have that problem when I'm teaching the oncology pharmacy class. So how you choose them is really great. I mean, of course, there are a few things they need to work on. They are not all that good, but I can tell you really, like, they are willing to learn, and they are really, really good. And I know that by the end of this academic year, all of them will be graduating. Not because we are making them graduate, but because they deserve it. And then lastly, let me see. As you know, cancer care in Africa, I'll tell you this. One of the things you don't know is this, that if we did the standard of care for cancer care, just the current standard of care, we'll actually be able to cure about 50% of the cancers that we are not curing right now. So you know we are not actually executing the standard of care. And you can look in any guidelines. Look at NCCN guidelines. Look at European Society of Medical Oncology. Look at American Society of Clinical Oncology. Look at any guidelines, including the National Cancer guidelines. We are not following those guidelines. And you know what is the missing component? We've done training of oncology fellows. University of Nairobi and Moi University. We've done oncology nursing training at Moi. We've done oncology training for clinical officers. The missing link has always been oncology pharmacies. So allow me to bask in the glory of saying that thank you so much for your partnership, and we are here to partner even more. We'll work even more and even harder to ensure that the next generation will not suffer the consequences of our generation in terms of not doing the proper care that we should be doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Professor Fredrick Chite, Vice-Chancellor Sir, members of University Management, keynote speaker and guest speakers. It's now my humble pleasure to welcome the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Academic and Research, Professor John Ochola. A round of applause for him as he comes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Richard Kagia, the Acting Dean, School of Pharmacy. The substantial dean is not here. He is in Romania, in Europe, attending to the business of this school. Actually, he's out there with our students, some of our students from the School of Pharmacy. Professor Henry Kiplangat, the Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Mansoor, Saleh, keynote speaker, members of the University Management Board, Professor Fredrick Chite, Executive Director, International Cancer Institute. Esteemed partners, our guest speakers, Dr. Elias, Melly, CEO, National Cancer Institute, Dr. Irene Weru, Head of Clinical Pharmacy, Kenyatta National Hospital, Dr. Richard Kagia, I have mentioned you already, the Acting Dean, School of Pharmacy, Dr. Philip Otieno Nyawere, we share the name, Nyawara Nyawere, the Director, Research, Innovation, and Outreach, the heads of departments, the members of faculty, conference participants, esteemed students, and not forgetting Dr. Moses Ogoti, the boy child. He is our graduate from Kabarak University and is now a doctor. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. This has been an extraordinary week in our campus. As Professor Chepkelot would say, it has been a week with a lot of movements. Prof, did you hear that? And the reason for those movements is because we are today and tomorrow also running concurrently this conference and also the Central Rift Innovation Week, which kicked off on Monday. The 4th Central Innovation Week has been happening here on our campus on these very grounds since Monday, and we will close tomorrow. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are hosting the School of Pharmacy Research Conference as part of the Kabarak University 15th International Research Conference. We are greatly honored to have our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Henry Kiplangat, to grace our conference today and to welcome our guests to the university and to officially open this conference for us. Amidst his very busy schedule, and very busy indeed, because I have a sneak into his diary, and I know that there is a board meeting which he should be chairing now, but he has given preference to this research conference of pharmacy so that he can chair this, grace this for us and attend his board meeting later. Why can't we clap for Professor Kiplangat for giving he has given priority to research, innovation, and outreach activities above everything else. Even other board meetings can wait. We thank you so much, sir, for giving priority to the core university business, which is research, innovation, and outreach. That is why, if you look around Kabarak University, you will see us shining everywhere. The infrastructure, the academic programs, all of them are top-notch, including our members of staff and our students. You are all top-notch because of the excellent leadership of our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Henry Kiplangat. Shall we give him a standing ovation as he comes to the podium? Let us rise up and clap for our Vice-Chancellor, Professor Henry Kiplangat.
No, please take your seats. Dr. Mansoor Saleh, the keynote speaker. Professor Fredrick Chite, the executive director and CEO, International Cancer Institute. The members of the Kabarak University Management Board who are here. Esteemed partners from International Cancer Institute, the guest speakers, the acting dean, School of Pharmacy, Dr. Kagia, the Director, Research, Innovation and Outreach, Dr. Nyawere, the heads of departments, conference participants, esteemed students, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would also like to join the previous speakers in welcoming all of you to Kabarak University and to the 15th International Research Conference, which the schools in the university have been hosting in various dates this year. Today and tomorrow, it is the School of Pharmacy's turn to host the research conference in collaboration with our key partner, the International Cancer Institute. The theme of the conference is advancing access to quality cancer care and control. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Kabarak University School of Pharmacy was established in 2016. So it's one of the youngest pharmacy schools in Kenya. The school is accredited by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to offer a Bachelor of Pharmacy program, which is an entry-level qualification for pharmacy practice in Kenya. The program is also approved by the Commission for University Education. Since its inception in 2016, the School of Pharmacy has graduated 4 cohorts of students with a total of 261 graduates from our Bachelor of Pharmacy program. And this young man, Ogoti, is one of the 261. We used to call him the boy child because he used to represent the boy child in making presentations. What is your name now out there? Okay. So today I'm quite pleased to mention that our 261 graduates are serving with distinction in various roles within the pharmacy and broader healthcare sectors in this country. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has recently been awakened to the grim statistics of rising cancer incidence and mortality. In the year 2022 alone, 44,726 new cancer cases were reported. Some 29,317 individuals died of cancer in Kenya. As a university with a vision of being the center of academic excellence, founded on biblical Christian values and with with being mindful of others, as one of our core values, we have responded to this public health emergency by developing the Master of Pharmacy in Oncology Pharmacy as one of our flagship programs. The program is a first of its kind in Kenya with a dedicated focus on advanced pharmaceutical care for oncology patients. And in collaboration with the International Cancer Institute, we developed the program through extensive engagement with oncology sector experts and professionals. Consequently, we have a program that produces practice-ready oncology pharmacists for the national and global market. And I would like at this point to recognize the role played by Professor Chite and his team at ICI in making this program a reality here at Kabarak University. And it is also noteworthy to make it clear to us that Professor Chite is one of the academic staff. So he's part of the introduction of the program and is taking part in the implementation of that program by facilitating as a lecturer. Another round of applause. I know there are other partners, including NCI, and we have members represented here. I'm hoping they will join our teaching faculty so that when you come here, you don't come as a visitor, as a partner, but as a stakeholder, as one of us. So thank you so much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is a sad reality that approximately 70% of pharmaceutical products consumed in Kenya are imported. The disruption of supply chains during the COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the long-known challenge of reliance on imports for domestic medicines. Factors contributing to the dominance of foreign products include limited innovation capacity, production of similar products by the industry, and inadequate personnel with specialized essential in the manufacturing industry. Many companies in this sector currently depend on expatriates to provide the technical expertise necessary for product development and maintenance of quality systems. At Kabarak University, we have taken this challenge and developed the Master of Pharmacy in Pharmaceutical Manufacturing program. And I have a dream, not of the gentleman who came up with that statement, but a dream of manufacturing drugs in Kabarak University. Drugs for the highest common good of humanity, not drugs to destroy. Because I think pharmacists can play in both worlds. The graduates from these programs will alleviate the shortage of local experts in pharmaceutical manufacturing. This program has been approved by the Commission for University Education and will be mounted in our School of Pharmacy in January semester 2026, God willing. Ladies and gentlemen, before I conclude my remarks, I would like to acknowledge the presence of eminent professionals who will share their experience and insight in advancing the practice of pharmacy. We are privileged to have the following speakers. Professor Mansoor Saleh, the founding chair, Department of Hematology-Oncology, Aga Khan University. Professor Fredrick Chite, the CEO, International Cancer Institute. Dr. Elias Melly, the CEO, National Cancer Institute, Kenya. Dr. Irene Weru, the head of clinical pharmacy, Kenyatta National Hospital. Dr. Joyfrida Chepchumba, program officer, National Cancer Control Program, Minister of Health. Dr. William Ogalo, the senior research scientist, and Dr. Winnie Mwangi, oncology pharmacist and vice chair, Oncology Pharmacists Society of Kenya. Your presence here, ladies and gentlemen, today fills us with immense joy, and we look forward to the enlightening discussions and knowledge sharing that will take place over the course of this conference. And as we immerse ourselves in this conference, I encourage all the participants to approach every session and every interaction with an open heart. Let us embrace this remarkable opportunity to learn from experts in the field, to challenge our existing notions, and to push the boundaries of our knowledge. It is through these collaborative exchanges that we can expand our horizons, unlock new possibilities, and drive innovation in pharmacy practice. To our young and upcoming pharmacists in attendance, I want to convey a special message. You stand at the threshold of an extraordinary journey, one that holds immense possibilities and boundless opportunities. Embrace the challenges that lie ahead, for they are stepping stones on the path to your greatness. Embody the values instilled in you by Kabarak University: integrity, compassion, and excellence, and let them guide your journey or guide every action in your journey. Your role in advancing the practice of pharmacy is pivotal, and I trust that you will rise to the occasion, leaving an indelible mark on the pharmacy profession. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with those few remarks, it is now my pleasure to declare the International Research Conference for the School of Pharmacy and the International Cancer Institute officially opened. So just before I introduce the keynote speaker, which I will do shortly, I would like to request to leave after I introduce the keynote speaker, because as a DVC, Professor Ochola mentioned, there is another meeting which we had to defer so that this could take place, and then after which we would then go and proceed. So I will move out with some members here. I will move out with Professor Kiplangat, DVC A&F, Professor Kipchumba, Registrar Administration and Human Resource. Is there anyone else? Dr. Dorcas Kitaiga, where are you? Professor Kitetu, he will also leave with me. Dorcas? Yeah, she's not here, but I'm talking about the people who are here. So when you see us moving, we are not protesting. We're going to work. So let me introduce the keynote speaker. Our keynote speaker is Professor Mansoor Saleh, the founding chair, Department of Hematology and Oncology, and founding director, Aga Khan University Cancer Center. Professor Saleh received his early education in the Aga Khan school system in East Africa. His medical education at the University of Heidelberg in Germany, and conducted his doctoral research at the Max Planck Institute for Medical Research in Heidelberg. When you mentioned that he studied in East Africa, I hope he studied in Kenya, which is part of East Africa. So we are part of the big East African community. Professor Mansoor received his training in internal medicine at the Henry Ford Hospital in Detroit, Michigan, and clinical and translational research training in hematology and oncology at the University of Alabama Comprehensive Cancer Center in Birmingham, Alabama, where he was tenured professor of medicine and pathology and director of the first in-human early drug development program. His area of research and clinical focus is targeted therapy of cancer. In January 2020, he joined the Aga Khan University in Nairobi, Kenya, as a founding chair, Department of Hematology-Oncology, and founding director, Aga Khan University, Nairobi Cancer Center. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a round of applause in welcoming Professor Saleh to the podium. Let us welcome him properly. Keep on clapping until he gets to the stage. Don't be tired. Welcome, Professor. Are you tired? Yeah.
So good morning, and thank you for inviting me here. I applaud the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Ochola, my colleague, Professor Chite, and the colleagues from Kabarak University for inviting me to come here. I've never been invited to a major university like this. I've never been introduced by a Vice-Chancellor. I was quite nervous. I had to go to the bathroom 3 times. But now that he's gone, it's a little bit easier. I thought about what I should say. I see there are many young pharmacologists in the audience. I've seen many accomplished professors in the audience. I'll take you through a journey that I took as a young student and to where I am today. Specifically, to be able to inspire you to search for knowledge, to be inquisitive, not to fear failure, and to really to go out and try to challenge yourself to achieve the best that you can. You can see my slides, you can't see them, so let me wait. I thought they were going to play a YouTube video, but maybe it's my slides. I hope your eyesight is good. You can see it all the way to the back. Great. So I bring you greetings from the Kabarak University in Nairobi. On the left-hand side, you see our hospital, which is 60 years old, a little bit older than your university. On the right-hand side, you see our university center, which is just 2 years old, much younger than your university. All right. So what I'm going to talk about today is drug development. I'll talk a little bit about targeted therapy of cancer. I'll tell you about the monoclonal antibody story. I saw a number of abstracts that deal with targeted therapy in the symposium that you have here. I'll tell you the story from a mouse antibody to a chimeric antibody, to a humanized antibody, to a drug immunoconjugate. In a way, looking at 50% of the drugs we use for cancer today. It's all told in this short story. And then I'll talk about the era of immunotherapy. And finally, I'll talk about why we should do research here in Kenya, why you should be involved in the new era of drug development and discovery here at Kabarak and other places in Kenya. So this is the story of drug development. It takes about 15 years. You can see on the left-hand side, laboratories trying to assess drugs. Let me see if I can use my... There we are, okay. Here we are in the laboratory. You look at all the drugs that are being developed, tested. And then if you see a positive signal, you go to drug discovery in animal model, and then you go to humans, phase 1, 2, 3, and then FDA approval. This whole pathway takes nearly 15 to 17 years, which is why drugs are very expensive. But that is the past. If you think about it, during COVID, the development of the mRNA vaccine did not take 17 years. It took a year and a half. The discovery of the viral genome of the COVID virus in January 2020. Clinical trials by April 2020. Executive emergency approval by the FDA and the European Union by December 2020, and complete approval of the mRNA in August 2021. In a year and a half, you have this total enlargement of a drug from the laboratory to human consumption. So this has been shortened. It's been shortened because of individuals like you who will expand and take development much faster. But when development takes much faster, the drugs become very expensive. We'll talk about that as well. So when you talk about a monoclonal antibody, let me explain to you how targeted therapy works. So this is a diagram of a cancer cell. And you see on the top in red, the EGFR receptor, the epidermal growth factor receptor. It's like a mouth. You have a ligand, which is EGFR, binding to the receptor. You have dimerization of the receptor, signal transduction through tyrosine kinase, and then activation of the gene in the nucleus. So it's like a mouth that gets food, and the dimerization is like the esophagus, and then the nucleus is like the stomach. The entire process leads to angiogenesis, growth, and motility and metastasis. So if you were a student and told, here is how cancer cells grow, what would you do to block the growth of a cancer cell? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it in your own way in the laboratory. If I told you this is how cancer cells grow, what would you do to stop the growth of this cancer cell? The first thing you would do is block the mouth. Stop the ligand from binding to the receptor. You can do that with the monoclonal antibody. It binds to the receptor, does not trigger the receptor, but blocks the receptor so that ligand cannot bind. If you cannot do that, you block the tyrosine kinase enzyme, which is where signaling happens. That's the second part. If you can't do that, you go all the way to the nucleus to try to see whether you can avoid DNA replication and proliferation. And that is the simplicity of targeted therapy of cancer. But the key is you've got to find a target on the cell of the cancer cell which is cancer specific. For example, CEA produced in colon cancers, not a good target because it's present in normal epithelium. You will then be targeting the normal epithelium. PSA, a very good marker of prostate cancer, not a good target. Why? Because it is spilled into the circulation. All your targeting will be wasted because it is spilled into the circulation. The hallmark of a target is it has to be on the cell surface and it has to be internalized. And that is the hallmark of a target for cancer therapy. Thank you. So, if you look at a cancer cell now, we've got hundreds of targets. These seem to be specific for cancer cells and restriction on normal cells. You have HER2, EGF, MET, KIT. All of these are targets inviting you to develop an antibody that blocks that specific target. And you can have tyrosine kinases that really block the pathway intracytoplasmically, and then you can really address the issue in the nucleus. That is the basis of targeted therapy of cancer. So, let me tell you a story. It began when I was a young fellow in Alabama to be able to look at targeted therapy of cancer. So the first thing we did was develop mouse monoclonal antibodies that block a target on a cancer cell. And you can imagine, it's easy to make a mouse monoclonal antibody. You immunize a mouse with a cancer cell. You identify antibodies that block the specific target, and they used it in patients. Mouse is foreign to man, so you can imagine what happens. Think about it. What would happen if I give you a mouse monoclonal antibody? Can we move that? So as you think about it, I wish this was a lecture. I could just point out to somebody and say, you tell me the answer and you can come and give my talk. But I don't think that would be allowed in this particular audience. But think about it. The first thing is, what is the half-life of a mouse protein in man? Number one. Number two is, what happens when the man's immune system or the woman's immune system looks at a mouse protein? You develop an immune response. So very quickly, you realize that a mouse protein, short half-life, high immune response, not a way to treat cancer. And I'll show you some data. So then, if the mouse protein is immunogenic, short half-life, what would you then do? It's a great story to be able to treat a cancer patient with a targeted antibody, but if the mouse protein is very immunogenic and short half-life, what would you do as a pharmacologist? What we would do is make it a little bit more humanized. Make the mouse protein a little bit humanized, less immunity, less immune response, longer half-life. Great story. If you want to have it be even longer in half-life, you make it humanized. Then the half-life of a humanized antibody is much longer than a mouse protein. It is not immunogenic at all. And I'll tell you the story once we get the slide. Perfect. Thank you. So, on the left, human antibody. In the middle, in orange, mouse. Totally foreign. Chimeric antibody is 80% human, 20% mouse, where it binds to the specific target. And the humanized antibody is really only 5% mouse, where it binds to the target, and the rest, 98, 95%, is human. And you have human antibodies that are totally human completely, and they are totally non-immunogenic. So, you can see somewhere down the road my name. I was a tiny student, very much like you. I had a great mentor who said, Mansoor, join me on this experiment. A phase 1 trial of multiple doses of a mouse monoclonal antibody, 17-1A, PK-PD. Imagine what happens. We give 1 dose on day 5, half-life 15 hours. So by 15 hours, half of it is gone. By 37 hours, there's none left. Within a week, we give 4 doses, day 1, 3, 5, 8. PK is identical. So we know that if you give multiple doses of a mouse antibody within a week, the PK is identical, half-life 15 hours. But by day 21, 90% of the patients, of which there were 12, had an immune response to the mouse protein. You cannot give the protein again. Big problem. We said, okay, why don't we try to chimerize it to make it less immunogenic and maybe a longer half-life? The Zoom is interrupting. You got to imagine what I'm going to tell you now. But I can't move the slides. So what we did then was do a second study with a chimeric antibody. You guess, if you give a chimeric antibody to a colon cancer patient who has the target 17-1A, the half-life is not 15 hours, it is now 7 days. Immune response, only 10% of patients develop an immune response. All of a sudden, we have a breakthrough. The treatment of choice from here on, here it is, chimeric antibody to 17-1A. Half-life is 110 hours, which is like 6 days compared to 15 hours. Much longer lived in circulation. If you give it every 3 weeks, you've got a sustained PK/PD in your intravascular space. Immunogenicity, 10% only. And that became the beginning of using chimeric antibodies to target cancer cells as long as you know a specific target. But then you use Star Wars. Star Wars is you have a missile with a payload. So you take an antibody in yellow, take a linker in pink, and put a payload chemotherapy to the antibody. Now the antibody goes to the target, is internalized, the payload is released. You really are targeting the cancer cell not only by ADCC, but you are delivering drug directly to the tumor and sparing normal tissue. So we went from mouse antibody, chimeric antibody, human antibody, to drug antibody conjugate. If we have nobody on Zoom, maybe we can tell them to, but there must be many people on Zoom. So the next story I can't tell you without a diagram, so let me wait. Okay. So here you are, drug antibody conjugate. So what happens? The drug antibody conjugate binds to the target, internalization into the lysosome, release of the drug, and you have cell cycle disruption. Or the drug antibody conjugate is internalized, the drug itself is released into the nucleus, resulting in cell death. 20% of FDA-approved drugs in cancer today are ADCs. 25% are monoclonal antibodies humanized, so that captures 50%. And you wonder, what about the other 50%? So this was a study I did for the first time. You see my name, first author. You love it to see your name in the newspaper. Well, not the newspaper, a proper journal. But here we are. We gave a patient a first drug immunoconjugate. Never given to men before. That is why I was the director of the first in-human drug development program. What do you think will happen? Look at the PK curve. At the bottom, tiny, that is the PK curve of 14.5 milligram per meter squared of adriamycin, because the payload in our ADC was adriamycin. 14.5 milligram per meter squared, solid line, dotted line, 60 milligram per meter squared of adriamycin itself. Antibody drug conjugate, look at this. We were able to give adriamycin targeted, remaining in circulation for nearly approximately 20 hours. You could not give IV adriamycin to a patient and survive if you left the half-life of adriamycin for 20 hours. But we were able to do that because the adriamycin was stuck onto the monoclonal antibody and only released at the site of the tumor that has a specific target. That is the philosophy of ADCs. So let me tell you an experiment that I did as a young fellow in my second year, something you could do here on your campus. We took A483 cells, which are squamous cell carcinoma cells that express the EGFR receptor. We grew them in a flask. Very simple experiment. Top left, flask with the A483 cells. Over 5 days, near about 1,000 colonies. Did not treat them at all. But on the second side, on the right, you take the same flask. Now you give 0.1 micrograms of anti-EGFR antibody. No radiation. We were trying to see whether there was a synergy between radiation and anti-EGFR antibody. So here we are, 0, 0. You see 1,000 colonies, 0.1 micrograms per ml of anti-EGFR antibody, no radiation. You've got colony reduction. You go from 1,000 to about a couple of hundred. Increase the dose of anti-EGFR to 5 micrograms per ml, and you see approximately about 100 colonies left. Clearly, antibody alone reduces colony. It is cytocidal. Bottom row, no antibody, 0, but 4 gray of radiation. Trying to see whether there is effect of radiation alone. The flask on the left-hand side. 1,000 colonies becomes a little fewer, but not much. Radiation by itself, not very effective. 4 grays plus 0.1 microgram of anti-EGFR, fewer colonies, and then all the way at the bottom right, 5 micrograms per ml of anti-EGFR antibody plus 4 grays, near eradication of the tumor cells in the flask. If this was your experiment, what would you do next? Somebody smiling. I see her white teeth. I was going to ask her a question, but maybe not. What would you do if this was at Kabarak? Experiment, you go home, fantastic. What do you do next? The next thing is to do animal model. Here we are. We took A483 cells, inoculated them into an animal to grow a tumor. You can see times 0, 100%. That's the tumor. You give the mouse nothing, control, antibody alone, or antibody plus radiation to replicate what you did in the petri dish or in the flask. The red and the blue and the pink on the top are really radiation alone. No effect in the mouse. Was functional in the test tube a little bit, but nothing in the mouse. But look, the red triangles at the bottom is C225 anti-EGFR antibody plus 10 gray of radiation. Nearly curative intent. You could cure mice inoculated with squamous cell carcinoma that express EGFR when you give a combination of anti-EGFR plus radiation. 5 micrograms per ml with 10 gray of radiation. When you do that, what's your next step? Work in the test tube, work in the animal model. You do first in human. You give it to a patient. That's what we did. This is the publication of the test tube work. And this is the application in humans. Phase 1, first in human, never ever given to man before. You give antibody with escalating doses of radiation. Look at the effect. 15 patients had a neck cancer, primary site, high stage, T2, T4, some metastatic as well. And look at it, clinical response. Out of the 15, 13 of them had a complete remission. No surgery required, no chemotherapy required. Antibody, anti-EGFR with radiation. This paper was published in 2006. My experiment in the test tube was 1999, 7 years. What used to be 15 years, in 7 years, from an experiment I did in the laboratory, we get FDA approval for this combination. That is success, not because of brain power, but because of an idea that was taken up by a team who believed in science to be able to proceed from the laboratory to the patient. That is the success of bench to bedside. And when what you study here at Kabarak can be applied at ICI with Chite, AKU with me, but that is a collaboration we would like to do. So what about the immune system? You know, we are targeting the tumor because of specific antigen. The immune system is supposed to be the one that really saves you from viruses, etc. Why do we not target the immune system? Since targeted therapy today is, in addition to targeting the cancer cell, you want to harness and activate the immune system. What the immune system does is the following. On the right-hand side, you see a T cell. On the left-hand side, you see a T cell engaging a cancer cell. On the right-hand side, you see inhibitory receptors. The T cell has inhibitory receptors, and the cancer cell is very smart. It triggers the inhibitory receptors of a T cell, makes the T cell become energic. So, when the T cell approaches the cancer cell emits out a ligand that binds to the inhibitory receptor, and the T cell is becoming energic. On the left-hand side, you have some activating receptor. So the thing to do then is to stop the T cell from becoming energic, you block the inhibitory receptors. You block CTLA4, you block PD-L1, you block TIM3. Is it possible to block these inhibitory receptors and activate the T cells to become anti-tumor? The answer is yes. This is stuff that Chite does for a living at ICI. A study was pembrolizumab, anti-PD-L1 versus chemotherapy for frontline non-small cell lung cancer. We're comparing chemotherapy to activating the T cell by itself. Let's see who wins. Here's the study. Frontline therapy eligibility is untreated, stage 4 non-small cell lung cancer, not eligible for surgery or radiation. You have to have 50% of your cell expressing PD-L1 so you can block those. And then the rest is standard. Randomization, anti-PD-L1 in red versus chemotherapy of your choice in blue. And you've got 5 choices. Take a pick. And if you progress on chemotherapy, you can then go on to crossover. So we're giving antibody activating T cells versus chemotherapy that was standard of care. Look at this slide. Okay, there we are. In red, anti-PD-L1. Median progression-free survival, chemotherapy, median progression-free survival, 6 months. Anti-PD-L1 in red, 10 months. Here you are activating the immune system to fight your cancer cell, which seems to be much better than chemotherapy. Progression-free survival. Overall survival, look at it. The median overall survival for chemotherapy alone, 14.2 months in blue, 30 months in red with anti-PD-L1. Success. No hair loss, no nausea, no vomiting, no myelosuppression. That is what targeted therapy is about. You either activate the immune system, T cell activation by blocking the inhibitory receptors, or you target a cell surface molecule on the T cell, on the tumor cell. That is what we do in oncology today without just giving chemotherapy, although we need chemotherapy and radiation as well. But what is the problem we face in Africa? The problem that I, Chite, all of us face. We have 2.7 million clinical trials conducted internationally. Only 1% of them are conducted in Africa, and 0.001 are conducted in Kenya. Despite of Kabarak, despite ICI, Aga Khan, Kenyatta. In 2019, we looked at 736 clinical trials conducted in Africa. Only 26 were cancer-related. The others were infectious disease. But of the 26, only 6 were conducted in countries with Black African patients. The other 20 were conducted in South Africa, part of Africa, but not the ethnicity of Africa, and the others were conducted in Egypt, part of Africa, but not the African ethnicities. What we need to do is change the paradigm so that more pharmaceuticals come to us in East Africa, in Africa proper. Why? Why should we worry? Why should we not just take what is applied in North America, in New York, in San Francisco, and apply it to Nakuru, to Kabarak, to Aga Khan, to ICI? The answer is this. This is triple-negative breast cancer, an aggressive form of breast cancer found in 20% of women with breast cancer. Same thing in Africa as it is in America. Same disease under the microscope. But look what happens when you look at the gene. We looked at the comparative mRNA transcriptome of Kenyan women with triple-negative breast cancer, African-American women, and Caucasian women. In the middle, Kenyan women, triple negative breast cancer. On the left, Caucasian women. On the right, African American. We have red hotspots of mRNA amplification, activation in Kenyan women, not present on the right, African American, not present on the left, Caucasian. Our triple negative breast cancer is different than the triple negative breast cancer in America, Caucasian, or African American. The drugs we use there may or may not work on our patients because our patients have a different genotype. That is our ethnicity, which is why we say do research on our patients as opposed to importing knowledge from the West. One more example, there's a gene called KRAS. It's a housekeeping gene. You and I have it. When you cut yourself, KRAS is amplified, activated, you heal your wound. When the wound is healed, KRAS goes back to baseline. It's like turning the switch on. At nighttime, you turn the switch on, you get light. When it's daylight, you turn the switch off. Exactly what happens with KRAS. But there's a mutation called KRAS G12C. The light is on all the time. Cells are proliferating, multiplying, spreading, metastasizing. About 8 to 10% of cancers in the West express KRAS G12C, the activating mutation. So we said, wow, 8 to 10% in America? We got a clinical trial with this drug. We said, fine. We must have at least 5% of Kenyan patients who express KRAS G12C. We should be able to do this study and really do very well. We tested 100 Kenyan patients with cancer, 0 KRAS G12C, not present in Kenyan patients. The one patient who was positive was the Ugandan Supreme Court judge. Second patient who was positive was a young girl from Ethiopia. It seems that the genicity, the ethnicity of Kenya does not express KRAS G12C, which is why it is important for us to know the genotype of our cancers, because cancer will become now a gene-driven treatment, not organ-specific, breast versus lung, but gene-specific. So these are the studies we did. ICI has been existing for much longer. Chite does many more studies than I do, but we've learned from him, and together we are a partner to say we in Kenya can do clinical research as good as anyone else in the West. So we went from no clinical trials in 2020 to about 16 clinical trials now in 2024, 2025. And we together have a clinical investigator training program where we train clinicians, young students like you, to become investigators like him and me. And I hope that the Kabarak team will join us in participating in CITP. We've been in Kenya, we've been in Lisbon, we've gone elsewhere, we're going to Rwanda in 2 months to be able to train clinicians to become clinical investigators. So, can we be successful in Kenya as successful as we are in North America? If we have the target on the patient, we have a drug that binds to the target, the question is, are we as good for our patients as they are up there, up north? Here's a study, HER2-positive breast cancer, ER-positive breast cancer. Patients receive a drug that blocks HER2. Look at this. On the left-hand side is a PET scan. Everything black on the left-hand side is disease. This young woman is 26, there's disease in the arms, disease in the liver, disease in the spinal cord. The entire spinal cord is black. Disease in the pelvis, disease in the femur. On the left. After 3 months of treatment, this young girl, 26 years old, after getting targeted therapy, the PET scan is as clean as your and my PET scan. We say, yes, we can in Kenya, if you give us the wherewithal to test the targets on our patients. No difference between the West and us if we have the capability to be able to identify the target. Last couple of slides. When I was young and I was having a bad day, my grandmother would say, let me tell you your fortune. You're going to be handsome, many wives, you'll be very rich, give me your hand. And she would look at my palm, and you can look at your palm and see what your fortune is. Red line is your heart line, whether you're a good person or a bad person. The number 2, the blue line is headline, got brains. Most of you must have a long headline. And then the green line is lifeline. In my green line, it's already stopped, so I must not be existing. So clearly, the hand is not a very good indicator of your future. But you give me a drop of your blood, and I heard that ICI is going to do next-gen sequencing very soon, so is Aga Khan. You come to me next year, give me a drop of your blood, and I will tell you your fortune. I'll tell you based upon your gene profile from circulating cells, whether you'll develop hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, schizophrenia. Give me a drop of your blood, I'll tell you your fortune. The question is, you want to know your fortune. If I tell you that you're predisposed to Alzheimer's disease at the age of 30, is it good news or bad news? Would you want to know or not? You tell me at the break. So, we have on the 11th floor, next in sequencing, ICI has something similar as well. Together, we will be able to sequence the human genome in Africa and also the human cancer genome to be able to provide targeted therapy of cancer based upon genetic mutations. So my last slide is, the African continent has been the bedrock of research in communicable diseases. But the world has neglected the fact that the LMIC, more people die of cancer than of heart disease. There's a dire need for capacity building, where we train young talents like you to become investigators, to do clinical trials. A dire need for NCI, PPB, NACOSTI to become much more friendly towards research so that we have expeditiousness in time to approval of research. And finally, something that you should know, pharmacogenomics and ethnicity impact therapeutics. The work you do here and learn here will affect my life and Chite's life and ICI's life. So we put the burden of responsibility on you to be good students, good pharmacologists, so that you can help us, the oncologists, to improve patient care here in Kenya. I thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Saleh, for showing us that indeed science is not static, it's dynamic. It involves with visionaries like you, from pioneering first-in-human trials to steering targeted therapy. You have proven that indeed the right prescription for the future of cancer treatment is one of innovation mixed with courage, administered daily with hope. After that, ladies and gentlemen, science may be heavy, but wisdom lands lighter when we clap louder. Let's kindly give Daktari a round of applause. Thank you. You guys look bright, indeed. Wisdom makes you shine, indeed. So that is also for yourself. So for our next speaker, some call him doctor, others call him leader. But at NCI Kenya, he's simply the prescription for progress. Dr. Elias Melly, a clinician seasoned in oncology, nuclear medicine, and cancer biology, now steers the flight from frontlines as CEO. From Moore University to Alexandria, from lecture halls to policy tables, he has mixed doses of science, strategy, and service into a formula called hope. Today, he does not just treat cancer, he treats a nation to courage. Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a round of applause to our next speaker, Dr. Elias Melly. Oh, wow. Wow, thank you so much. I think he has been represented, but indeed, it has landed better. Let's give a hearty clap. She's donning in blue, but trust me, she'll not leave us in the blues. Thank you.
Wow, this is interesting. I know you're expecting a man, isn't it? Yes. My name is Emily Basito. I'm an epidemiologist. So when it comes to research, really, it's something that I love to dissect and let it speak to address the policy and to actually address the issues that we have in terms of health. So I am going to represent my boss, Dr. Elias Melly, who is out of the country. He's in IAEA Convention, that is an International Atomic Energy Agency. And that is a very important institution. As you know, they are the ones who have even donated the LINAC machines for us, enabled radiotherapy and comprehensive cancer centers to be done. So before I go to his speech, let me just introduce myself, just to mention a little more. The head of Directorate of Strategy, Planning, Partnerships, and Resource Mobilization at National Cancer Institute of Kenya. So you are part of my team because I'm talking about partnerships, isn't it? Yes, so being, not just being an epidemiologist, but I also interact with partners and we see what to do together. And I would want to say that today really is a great honor and a pleasure to join you in this impactful conference that is jointly organized by Kabarak University School of Pharmacy and International Cancer Institute. And standing here has been the student of Professor Mansoor and Professor Chite. They have trained me in clinical CITP. Yes, I hope I was a good student. Yeah, you know, sometimes you meet your teachers out there and you wonder, so what kind of a student was I? And I promise you, you will meet them out there too. And you'll ask those questions, isn't it? Yes. So as the head of strategy, planning, partnerships, and resource mobilization at National Cancer Institute of Kenya, I'm particularly pleased to witness this gathering of brilliant minds, and not just a gathering, but really gathered together to speak on matters cancer and cancer care in our country, to tackle this big monster in our country, and to change the narrative that being diagnosed with cancer is not a death sentence. So events like this not only foster academic and scientific dialogue, but also serves as catalyst for strategic partnerships that actually would take cancer care to the next level, that are essential to strengthening cancer prevention, diagnosis, treatment, and survivorship. At NCI, now, I know some of you are wondering, so who is this NCI? National Cancer Institute of Kenya is actually a semi-autonomous government agency that was established under Cancer Prevention and Control Act number 15 of 2012, and this was in recognition of the rising cancer burden in the country. So its main mandate is cancer prevention and control. So at NCI, we believe in collaboration as at the heart of impactful cancer prevention and control. And through such engagements, we can develop and scale up sustainable solutions, and also address our resource-constrained environment, yet in need of cancer care. So I reaffirm our commitment to working alongside institutions such as Kabarak University. Yes, and I know we work together with ICI, and in fact, in our second National Cancer Summit that happened a few weeks ago, did you manage to attend? Even online. There was free online attendance anyway. But in that, we actually recognized the work that ICI is doing in cancer research, because we believe in moving cancer care to the next level of targeted interventions. So, without taking much time, allow me to now deliver the speech of my boss, Dr. Elias Melly, the CEO of National Cancer Institute of Kenya, who is a visionary leader. He is inspirational leader. he is motivational leader, and more than that, cancer care is, I would almost say, his DNA. Yes, I know his colleagues in oncology space would actually attest to that. So let me go ahead. The Vice-Chancellor, I will just read it verbatim. The Vice-Chancellor of Kabarak University, the Dean, School of Pharmacy, distinguished faculty members, ICI conference leadership, Professor Chite, keynote speaker, Professor Mansoor, invited guests, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. The current cancer landscape in Kenya. In Kenya today, cancer is a growing crisis. Cancer is now the third leading cause of death after infectious and cardiovascular diseases, and the numbers are steadily rising. According to GlobalCan 2020, we record over 47 new cases and 32 deaths every year. The most prevalent cancers are breast, cervical, prostate, esophageal, colorectal, not forgetting childhood cancers. These are not figures. They are lives. They are families. Behind each figure is a face. Sadly, more than 70% of patients are diagnosed at advanced stages, where treatment options are limited, less effective, more costly, and with poor health outcomes. This late diagnosis is often due to limited access to screening and early detection services. This is not just a health issue. It is a social justice issue. Worse still, cancer care remains largely urban-centric. Most specialized services are concentrated in Nairobi and a few urban centers, leaving rural populations underserved. The increasing burden disparities is in access across urban and rural regions can mean the difference between life and death. This picture is one we must change, not through rhetoric, but through a systematic, multi-sectoral response. Thus, universal health coverage, UHC, in cancer care is very important. This year's theme couldn't be more appropriate. It challenges us to confront inequalities and redesign systems that promote health equity. Because cancer care must not be a privilege for the few, but a right for all who need it. The National Cancer Institute of Kenya, NCI Kenya, is a statutory body established under the Cancer Prevention and Control Act number 15 of 2012. This was in recognition of the need for a much more coordinated, multi-sectoral response to the growing cancer burden in the country. The Institute is mandated to oversee coordinate, and centralize all cancer prevention and control operations across the country. The National Cancer Institute of Kenya, therefore, was created to lead the coordination and implementation of cancer prevention and control efforts nationwide. I am proud to share that we are making meaningful strides as a country in strengthening cancer prevention and control despite the challenges. We are strengthening cancer prevention and control in the following aspects. 1, policy and strategy. Implementation of the National Cancer Control Strategy 2023 to 2028, which provides a roadmap for prevention and control. It focuses on 5 pillars. These are pillar number 1, cancer prevention and early detection. Pillar number 2, cancer imaging, pathology, and laboratory medicine. Pillar number 3, cancer treatment, palliative care, and survivorship. Pillar number 4, advocacy, partnerships, coordination, and financing. Pillar number 5, strategic information, registration, surveillance, and research. The second stride is on decentralization of cancer services. That is on functional cancer centers across the country. We have comprehensive cancer center in Nakuru, which is a few kilometers from here. We have another in Kisumu, Mombasa, Garissa, Eldoret, and many more. Expansion of radiotherapy, chemotherapy, and surgical oncology outside Nairobi. And mobile cancer screening and campaign initiatives across the country. We have also made strides on community outreach and prevention. Through National HPV vaccination program for adolescent girls aged 9 to 14 years, we have also increased investment in cancer screening for the most prevalent cancers, community health promoters, that is CHP engagement, to raise awareness in the grassroots, where they speak the local language. We have also made strides on cancer registry, where we maintain National Cancer Registry. The National Cancer Registry maintains data, accurate data, to inform policy. We also have digitization of cancer screening and early detection through Empower 2.0 for quality and reliable data. We also have population-based cancer registries, and we are expanding these population-based cancer registries to the various regions. Next stride, cancer research. National Cancer Institute of Kenya is involved in funding local cancer research, both extramural cancer research and intramural research. Recently, NCI Kenya was registered as a research institution by na costi. This makes cancer research to be more coordinated. And NCI Kenya is in the process of institutional, scientific, and ethics review committee certification. Allow me to interject at this point. I think it had been mentioned earlier that it would be good to have NCI facilitate cancer research, and you can see now we have been certified as an institution, and we are going through the process of certification so that so that ethical reviews and ethical clearance for cancer research can be hastened, can be made easier. Then the next is on workforce development, collaboration with universities like Washington University, Kabarak, Aga Khan University, University of Nairobi, Moi University, and many others to train clinical oncologists, oncology pharmacists, oncology nurses, and various HRH in oncology ecosystem. Continued support for specialization and retention of oncology professionals. We are witnessing real, tangible change. When a mother in Kisumu can access chemotherapy without traveling to Nairobi, that is progress. But it is not enough. Strategic partnerships and collaborations, that is multi-sectoral approach. National Cancer Institute of Kenya is engaged in facilitating access programs, and already an MOU has been signed between Roche and the government of Kenya for access program of their molecules. We also have an MOU signed between Pfizer, that is Accord for a Better World, with MOH to facilitate access to their molecules at a not-for-profit prices. We also have other strategic collaborations like Princess Maxima, facilitating facilities, cancer center facilities for childhood cancers. We have IAEA facilitating access to radiotherapy. We also have counties. Counties are our important stakeholders as health is devolved, and many more. Challenges in cancer care. We acknowledge the progress, but we must confront the barriers that continue to limit access to quality cancer care in our country. The first is shortage of oncology professionals. Specialists are insufficient, especially in rural areas. Limited radiotherapy machines and high cost of maintenance. Diagnostic bottlenecks, delays in pathology reports, under-equipped laboratories, limited access to advanced diagnostics like PET scans or genetic profiling, SHA oncology optimization, stigma and misinformation, cultural beliefs, delay health-seeking behavior. Next, weak referral system, poor coordination between primary, secondary, and tertiary facilities with weak referral systems compromise timely care, geographical and financial barriers, among many other challenges. These are not just system weaknesses. They are barriers that stand between a patient and their right to life. This conference, therefore, as it gives the role of academia and institutions like Kabarak and SCI a spotlight, represents more than just dialogue. It symbolizes our joint commitment to preparing the next generation of professionals who will transform cancer care in Kenya and across Africa. This is where institutions like Kabarak and International Cancer Institute become game changers in the cancer care ecosystems. Do we agree to that? Thank you. Training the next generation is the first role. Pharmacy students trained in oncology pharmacy can ensure safe, effective use of chemotherapy and other anti-cancer agents. Medical, nursing, laboratory science, and allied health students must be equipped to serve in prevention, diagnostics, treatment, and survivorship care. Another role is on research and innovation. Kabarak and ICI, through research, can help generate locally relevant data to target interventions. I think I should repeat this one. Isn't it so? Yes, that Kabarak and NCI, through research, can help generate locally relevant data for targeted interventions. Research into affordable diagnostics, natural product, drug development, and cost-effective care models is urgently needed. Collaboration with government, partnering with NCI to co-develop training programs, deploy mobile clinics, or pilot new cancer care models. We need researchers in your labs, clinicians in the wards, and pharmacists in the training rooms to all be soldiers in this war against cancer. The role of partners and multi-sectoral collaboration. As NCI, we cannot do this alone. The complexity of cancer requires a whole of society approach, a whole of society response. Engage private sector in building capacity and improve supply chains. We are going to engage and partner with NGOs for community outreach and patient navigation. We are going to leverage on academia for research and training and engage media in spreading awareness and breaking stigma. This is a national challenge, but also a national opportunity to demonstrate what Kenya can achieve when we align our resources, our skills, and our compassion. A national call to action is therefore important. The call to advance access to cancer care is a moral, professional, and patriotic duty to government to increase investment in cancer infrastructure, workforce, and shift coverage. To academia, align curricula with emerging oncology needs and develop oncology-focused postgraduate programs. To private sector, innovate financing models and invest in low-cost diagnostics and therapies. To youth and students, take leadership in awareness, digital health innovation, and research. Access is not just about facilities. It's about accessibility, affordability, quality, dignity, and timeliness. There is need for multi-sectoral partnerships, government, private sector, academia, civil society, every single Kenyan on board. We call for investment in research, capacity building, and data systems, screening, and early detection. Advancing access is not the responsibility of one institution. It is a shared national commitment. Let us move beyond discussions to coordinated action and change lives. Let us imagine a Kenya where a woman in rural Baringo is screened for cervical cancer in her local health center and accesses treatment. A child with leukemia receives timely and free treatment at a regional facility. A patient completing chemotherapy is guided by a trained oncologist, oncology pharmacist, perhaps a graduate from Kabarak University. Survivors live with dignity and become advocates of hope. This is the future we must build. A future where cancer no longer means despair, but resilience, recovery, and hope. Let us reimagine a future where cancer is detected early, treated effectively, and prevented wherever possible. Universal access to screening and diagnostic services. Let us reimagine a future where financial protection for all cancer patients is a reality. Seamless referral systems, compassionate palliative care, empowered survivors contributing to their community. Kenya, where cancer is no longer a death sentence. Our goal is clear. A future where every Kenyan, regardless of where they live or their income, can access timely, quality cancer care as we lead in the response against cancer. To the students here today, you are the change makers. To the professionals, you are the lifeline. To our partners, you are the engine of transformation. Let us not leave this conference with knowledge only. Let us live with action plans, with partnerships, and with renewed sense of responsibility. On behalf of the National Cancer Institute of Kenya, I pledge our unwavering commitment to supporting you, our partners, toward this common goal, towards a cancer-free nation. Together, we can turn the tide on cancer. Let this conference be a catalyst for stronger partnerships and accelerated progress towards accessible, affordable, and timely cancer care. Together, let us create a Kenya and an Africa where quality cancer care is not exceptional, but the norm. The time is now. Let us take action. Thank you, and God bless you.
Let's give a round of applause. We are almost there. And as we advance access to quality cancer care and control, we recognize and appreciate the role of NCI. Now, that's what we call precision medicine, knowledge, and leadership delivered in perfect representation. Now, as we shift gears, I know if Dr. Richard Kagia would have been the MC, probably he would have told us to switch gears. In short, I want us to badilishe kagia kidogo. So, in the pharmacy world, some read prescription. Others rewrite the script. And our next presenter or guest speaker is, does both of them. She is the head of clinical pharmacy at Kenya National Hospital. She is the mind where science meets heart, a specialist in clinical and oncology pharmacy. And the steady hand steering ISOPPP as secretary and OPSOK as interim chair. She doesn't just sit on committees, she shifts conversations on cancer care, on medicine access, on what healing should look like. And when she's not leading globally, she's lecturing at the University of Nairobi, sowing seeds of knowledge that bloom in the next generation of pharmacists. Passionate, witty, and relentless about medicine management and oncology practice. Ladies and gentlemen, the right prescriptions for today's inspiration, Dr. Irene Weru. Let's give her a round of applause.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, so I am delighted to be here today, thanking the School of Pharmacy for the invitation. It's been a long drive. I think I just came reflecting on my journey. And so the next couple of minutes, I was allocated 30 minutes, but I promise you I will take about 15 minutes and just take you through the journey of my life. And hopefully, as many of you as are seated here, especially our undergraduates, the young pharmacists, can be inspired and create a journey for themselves moving forward. So that is a picture of myself as a little girl, standing, I think, at Uhuru Park. And I like to say that the story of my life is that I have been called to serve. And so I take pride in reflecting on my journey through the years. I grew up in the east of Nairobi. And those of you who know the east of Nairobi, you know that a lot of bad things happen from the east of Nairobi. Very few young girls complete school. Even in the years that I grew up, very few girls would complete school. And so my call is to inspire the next generation of pharmacists. As I've had students asking each other, so she says she wants to inspire the next generation of pharmacists. Yeye ni wa generation gani? I can tell you that many of your lecturers were my students, and so I am of another generation. Yes? So believe me when I tell you that. Okay, so that's okay. The next slide. All right. So the story of my life, for those of you who probably were at the University of Nairobi, the 50-year celebrations, you had the first two slides. So the story of my life is that I have committed myself to interprofessional collaborations, and my focus areas are oncology, medicines management, and research. So in oncology, of course, starting the oncology pharmacy practice at Kenyatta National Hospital, currently chairing the Oncology Pharmacy Society of Kenya, and also I have been an International Society of Oncology Pharmacy Practitioners member for the last probably 20 years. I have been secretary for 5 years, and I am currently chairing the education committee of ISOP. So in medicines management, I have been privileged to work with the Ministry of Health in developing Kenya Essential Medicine List, as well as doing work on the national formulary, which really is work that I am proud of. And then in research, inspiring many of you, I think I see some of my students here, we've published some work. And lately, I've challenged myself to get into clinical trials. I realized it's one of the things that I'd really never done. And so these last 2 years, I've been one of the pharmacists on record or clinical pharmacists or clinical trials pharmacists at United. And we're doing some work in clinical trials there. So I strive every day to be a 7-star pharmacist, a caregiver to my patients, a decision maker, because at the hospital, every day we have decisions to make, communicating every day, encouraging our students and our staff in terms of how we communicate to them, managing not just myself, but managing the resources available to me, and then being a lifelong learner. A teacher is something I pride myself in, and I have been privileged to be an adjunct faculty here at Kabarak, as well as the University of Nairobi, and everyday leading. And as an advocate for career growth for the profession, including specialist recognition, which is now something that the pharmacists can get from the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, inclusivity at national policy. So one of the things that I can tell us or tell you who are listening to me today is that when you get a chair at the table, please create space for your friends. And when I talk about friends, here I'm talking about pharmacists. In our guidelines for setting up cancer centers, one of the things that we insisted must be there is that every cancer center must have an oncology pharmacist. What does that mean? It means that we guarantee jobs for the pharmacists, for the graduates from Kabarak. All those cancer centers that we have been told by my friend Emily from NCI need pharmacists, yes? And they need specialist pharmacists because they are specialized centers. All right, so the pictures I project there, if you want to listen to more of my story, you can look at the Footprints Project. One of our colleagues, David Othiambo, runs the Footprints Project. And I recorded the journey of my life. And I truly appreciate the opportunity to mentor others. And so there's a picture of myself with one of my mentees, Jean Kasudi from the University of Nairobi, who received a special award at the Kesho conference last year. The slides have disappeared. Okay. I don't know why they are dancing on their own. All right, so they've moved here. Okay, fine, that slide's moved. Okay. So for those of us in the room and you're wondering, then where do you start? I say to you, you start where you are. Yes? Identify gaps and then provide solutions. We can't just identify gaps. We need to provide solutions. And some of the solutions that are required are zero cost or low cost. When we started work at Kenyatta National Hospital, the oncology pharmacy, there was no specific oncology pharmacy. So oncology medicines were kept in the general pharmacies. So we just requested for a reorganization of the pharmacies. And when the service grew, we identified an empty open space and we converted it into a pharmacy. That didn't require any resources. And even the resources that were required in establishing the pharmacy were low cost, and we were able to get those from within the institution, just a few shelves and a grill door, etc. Find yourself a mentor. You cannot walk this journey on your own. Have a personal growth or strategic or career path. Yes? What is the plan of your life? Be teachable. Yes? You need to be teachable. If you're going to find yourself a mentor, then you need to be willing to learn, and you need to be teachable, and set out to be a lifelong learner. Something happened. My slides, they are not synchronized. Okay, a lot of... So where are some areas that you can plug in? Some of the places that you can plug in are professional societies. The slides on... I think the Wi-Fi or whatever projection is low. Okay, so where can you plug in? Professional society. At home, some of the areas that you can plug in are be a member of the Pharmaceutical Society of Kenya, be a member of the Hospital Pharmacists Society of Kenya, Oncology Pharmacists Society of Kenya, the Kenya Society for Hematology and Oncology, which is a multidisciplinary society. But there are other professional associations that you can plug into away from home, including the Africa Organization of Research and Training in Cancer, International Society of Oncology Pharmacy Practitioners, ASCO, which I know Prof. Chite is quite passionate about. There is ESMO, the European Society of Medical Oncology. There is SIOP for those who are interested in pediatric oncology. And I think, I don't know if Dr. Nyabate is here, but she's one of those that are quite passionate about SIOP. And then you cannot work alone as a pharmacist. You plug into research groups, plug into clinical teams, whether you're participating in ward rounds or clinics or tumor boards, quality assurance teams, policy and advocacy teams, all of the pillars that Emily Barcito from NCI spoke about today. Each of those pillars is an opportunity for you as a pharmacist to plug in. Whether you're a specialist pharmacist or one who's only interested in oncology, we have opportunity to plug in. Okay, so there's a bit of disharmony in these slides, but what are the resources available? There are mentors available to you. At the university, you have your lecturers who are also available to be your mentors. In the professional societies, when you plug in, you can identify someone who can walk the journey with you. Peer groups, you can form peer groups and be able to inspire each other. Professional journals are available for you to read about research work that others are doing and to be inspired and perhaps also come up with your own research. Education material is available, especially on professional association websites. For example, on the ISOP website, we have courses such as the Understanding Targeted and Immune Therapies for Cancer, and you can understand in more detail what Prof. Mansoor was talking about today in his short 30 minutes. But there's a whole course available by the International Society of Oncology Pharmacy Practitioners. It is a free course. There's also the Oncology Pharmacotherapy Program or the Pharmacy Program, the PAD. Those are some that you can plug into. There are continuous professional development sessions provided by different professional associations, and it would be important for you to just plug into those and be able to learn. Okay, so there are other useful resources. For example, there are those publications by FIP. I didn't mention it as a professional society, but it's also there. And they have resources. Recently, I think in 2021, 2022, published a handbook for pharmacists, Cancer Care, a handbook for pharmacists. And it came with a skills and knowledge handbook accompanying it, the FIP Knowledge and Skills Reference Guide for Pharmacists. So if you're interested in oncology pharmacy, for example, and you're not sure where to start, you can go onto the FIP website, that's the International Federation of Pharmacists, and you can download those resources and be able to learn what, as a pharmacist, you can do at the different levels, including from screening and early diagnosis all the way to treatment, and also specifically looks at some of the cancers. Then in 2021, there was a publication by ISOP on the role of the oncology pharmacist in cancer care, and I'll try and go through some of the things that that paper talks about. You'll be pleased to know that I was a co-author in each of those publications that I've just shared here. So if I could come from the east of Nairobi and be able to contribute to international resources, then I know that each of you has potential, and you are at a better place because you have those that have gone before you. So what's the role of the oncology pharmacist? So I include here technicians and technologies, because for those of you who've been to KNH, you know that we don't work alone. We have tried our best to incorporate the pharmaceutical technologists as well. I know there are many discussions, and sometimes they are professional wars, but there's a place for everybody, and there is a role that each of these people can play. Whether you're a pharmacist, specialized, or just a staff pharmacist, or you're a pharmaceutical technologist, there's a role for you in the multidisciplinary care of cancer patients. So the roles cut across patient care, management, education and training, research and quality improvement. And you can look through that paper and get more detail. But I'll just try and highlight some of the things that we can do. For example, in patient care, you can participate in multidisciplinary teams, including ward rounds and tumor boards. And you can also evaluate appropriateness of cancer medicines. I apologize, I have to look behind because my screen is not changing. And then it is our responsibility to optimize adherence to anti-cancer treatment. We also monitor for adverse drug reactions and medication errors, and also pharmacovigilance-related activities, so that we ensure patients who come to us actually receive the best quality cancer care. So there are many things we do, including implementing patient-specific medication management plans, and promoting patient and caregiver advocacy. Pharmacists have a role to play in that. The issue of vaccines that was mentioned earlier, pharmacists working in the primary healthcare actually play a very critical role in speaking to patients and to the young girls and their caregivers about vaccines, and helping to alleviate the issue of vaccine hesitancy. So that's a role that we can play as pharmacists. So, okay, so oncology pharmacy practice and management, there are those who are not interested in doing rounds, but you can actually contribute in issues of medicine management. There are issues of pharmacoeconomics that pharmacists play a very critical role in. There are issues about developing SOPs to use in your pharmacy spaces, which is something that we can do as pharmacists. Safe handling of anti-cancer medicines is actually a very critical aspect of pharmacy responsibilities and roles. Procurement. I know sometimes pharmacists don't want to sit in stores, but there's something special that happens when you sit in a store. About 2-3 years ago, we had reshuffle within our institution, a redeployment. And I had the opportunity to work as the head of pharmaceutical products. So many people ask me, so what is a clinical pharmacist doing in the store? But I actually realized that a clinical pharmacist can do so much at the store. Why? Because you understand medicines and you understand diseases. So you're able to use your clinical knowledge to help make decisions on alternatives to procure, on inclusion of medicines on the formulary. So there's so much you can do in that space. So if you ever find yourself that the only job available for you is as a procurement or as a supplies pharmacist, even if you have studied oncology pharmacist, there's still so much, oncology pharmacy, there's still so much you can do in that store using your clinical knowledge and the skills that you have. All right, so there was training, of course. We have many of your lecturers here. Some of them are oncology pharmacists trained at KNH, but they are here and they are impacting knowledge. So they are using their skills as academicians and researchers, and that's a good thing. Okay, so what opportunities are available for us as pharmacists? There are so many. I think earlier on we were specifically inspired about research, and I hope you were able to see yourself as a researcher, whether you are a clinical trials pharmacist, or you're doing operations research, or you are in drug development, or in pharmacogenomics. I hope you saw yourself, or at least imagined yourself that that is a possibility of something that you can get involved in. Of course, there's specialization, which is one of the things that Kabarak prides themselves in, or ourselves in as Kabarak. Let me just own myself as part of belonging here, yes? So as oncology pharmacists, one of the key things we hope that those that are trained here and the graduates from here will be able to do is get into hospital practice and be able to contribute into the multidisciplinary teams. The future is pharmacist-led clinics. Yes? The world moved to pharmacist-led clinics. Yes, I see Amy clapping there, yes. So in some of these countries, in the UK, in US, in Canada, but especially in the UK, there are pharmacist-led clinics where a patient gets their first prescription, say for multiple myeloma, from the oncologist, and then the follow-up clinics are done by the specialist pharmacist. And these pharmacists are actually accredited to do those very specific things. So if you have been recognized by the regulator to be a prescriber for multiple myeloma, then that is what you focus on. If you are a prescriber for breast cancer or for GI malignancies, then that is what you focus on. And think about some of the things that we do or we have said we do as pharmacists. We review patient labs every day. We actually identify a lot of gaps when we are looking at the prescriptions. We are able to also do supportive management for the patients. Maybe a patient has a highly emetogenic chemotherapy and the prescriber missed out on prescribing antiemetics for that patient, or even in terms of pain management. So there's a great opportunity for us as pharmacists, for us as a country, and we hope that we can work with the regulators to move to that next level of specialization. Private practices, for those who decide to do community-based practice, oral chemotherapy monitoring is something that you can really do so well, even in a community pharmacy. In many of these countries, the developed countries, the oral chemos and the hormonal therapies are not necessarily dispensed at the hospital pharmacies. They are dispensed at specific community or retail pharmacies. And so that's an opportunity for us. So when you are trained and specialized and you're looking for a job, it is not coming, you actually have opportunity to open a specialized pharmacy and you can manage all these oral chemos. We have a big gap in terms of GCSF, that's the granular GCSF. Okay, I've interchanged the letters there, but So patients who come with neutropenia and they are given their filgrastim, for example, to go administer at home, or their PEG filgrastim to administer at home, there's an opportunity for us as pharmacists to actually support these patients, either educate them to actually self-administer or to actually do the administration even at the community level. There's great opportunity for teaching and mentorship. So I believe there are all these universities that have opened up, and they have great opportunity even for lecturer positions, for tutorial fellows, for lecturer assistants. And then teaching and mentorship is not only restricted to the universities, even within our own organizations, in the hospitals, or at the industry, wherever it is we're working, we have opportunity to do teaching for our students, for other healthcare workers, etc. Formulary and guideline development. I know that the National Cancer Control Program, and Dr. Joy Frida will be here tomorrow to speak to us. They've been developing, they've been reviewing the national treatment guidelines. One of the things I'm really happy about is that I don't have to go into all these meetings these days. When I started out as an oncology pharmacist, I would be invited for everything because we were so few. But we now have trained so many. And remember my comment earlier that when you get a seat at the table, you pull a seat for your friend. I don't have to go. I actually just give them a link and call someone from Makueni or Kitui or Garissa, somewhere, and I tell them so-and-so is available to go for that meeting. So there's growth in the profession, and there's a great opportunity for us to contribute as well to this. Screening, prevention, and early diagnosis. Our colleagues at Makueni, I think the Empower Clinic at Makueni, is actually managed by an oncology pharmacist who was trained at the University of Nairobi, Dr. Gavin Orangi, who's also the secretary of the Oncology Pharmacist Society. So the issues we talked about, vaccination, those are roles that we can play. The pharmacists, they are working with Savannah, I think, developed this tool where they incorporate symptom check for breast and cervical cancer. So that's really a good thing, and it's something that pharmacists can continue to do. Even in community pharmacy, we need to remind those that come to us to do checks. If a patient keeps coming to you and telling you, I have this symptom or the other, you need to have a high index of suspicion, and you need to be able to refer. Okay, so procurement and medicines management, I cannot overemphasize this, and then the issues about administration and management, policy and advocacy. And there's so much more. Earlier on, I think the Vice-Chancellor talked about the dream to manufacture, and that's a great opportunity for us as pharmacists. So we need to really take up our role. Okay, so this should be my second last slide. In line with the FIP theme for this year, which is Think Health, Think Pharmacy, I hope that through those few minutes, you've been able to think through your life and think through some of the opportunities that could be available to you. Pharmacists truly play an integral part in advancing access to quality cancer care and control. And for me, it's just to give you a call to action. Do not be discouraged. For the undergraduates, if there's a lot of my story I have not told in this short presentation, but I usually say that if I could walk out of Eastlands to University of Nairobi and get a job at KNH and do all of the things that I have been able to do in the years that I have worked at KNH, truly nothing would be impossible, even for the young pharmacists today. You should be able to find something to do and to be able to make a difference. One of our lecturers at the university, the late Professor Ombega, used to tell us that we need to be change agents. So I would like to just challenge each one of you that even as you're here, aspire to be a change agent. For those of you who are already working, ask yourself every day, when I wake up and I come into this workspace, am I making a positive change in this community or in this space that I have been given? And for those of you who are wondering, are there job opportunities after pharmacy? Because sometimes you hear about all these challenges about delays in posting as interns, or are there job opportunities? We have highlighted just but a few. There are a lot of opportunities for pharmacists if you can just be available, be teachable, and learn to live with the other people and in the community. Reach out to somebody, plug in, don't just keep to yourself. There's so much available for each one of us. And another professor, Professor Kokwaro, used to tell us that one of the reasons that we struggle is because we choose to rotate in the lower orbitals. And he would challenge us to strive to move above the crowd. Yes? To move above the crowd. So distinguish yourself. If you're here and you're a student, don't just settle for average. Challenge yourself to be the valedictorian. Challenge yourself to score great grades. Yes? Some of your lecturers here were valedictorians in their years, yes? So you already have enough inspiration. And finally, one of my friends told me, don't run on a road that is crowded. Create for yourself a lane and run your own race. Yes? So I want to challenge each one of you today to have a strategy for your life and identify a path where you will truly make a difference. So finally, just to let you know that in some of the work that we are doing, next year in March 20th, we will be hosting an ambitious 24-hour symposium where we will host 6 hours of the annual ISOP symposium, which will be the 30th year celebration. And so we encourage you to submit your abstracts, and hopefully we will be able to get some of the presentations from Kabarak University at that online symposium that we will have next year. Thank you so much for your time, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Irene, for such a powerful presentation. Something that I've been pondering on, that where I am interning currently, I am in the oncology department. And I've realized through the presentations that we've had, indeed, there are so many paths that we can be able to find our lanes. And as Dr. Elias said, that let us not rotate in the lower orbitals, and let us move beyond the comfort zone. Thank you so much, Dr. Let's give her a round of applause. And in that spirit of finding our own lane, because you can see I'm a pharmacist, I've heard there is the upcoming March 24th symposium. You can see I'm not just a pharmacist, I'm also an MC. So I'm trying to find that lane. Now this is my humble plea. Now you've already gotten an MC for the symposium. Thank you so much. So thank you, Dr. And as we move shift, allow me to do some recognition. I know it has been a tight program, but I can see we are on time. We are only remaining with the plenary, and then we have, we close, yeah? For the first bit. But allow me at this particular time to be able to recognize our MFAM residents who are alumni at CITP, the training that Professor Mansoor conducts. I don't know if you can kindly rise and wave. Any MFAM students? Yeah, so can she's donning green. So you see, Dr. You're making greener pastures. Yes. Also, let me recognize all the MFAM students pursuing oncology. Currently, kindly. Where are they, our heroes? I saw, wow. Wow. Thank you so much. Indeed, in oncology, we say every second matters. In conferences, we say every clap matters. In that regard, let me also, because I was here, let me also recognize the undergraduate students who are also here. Also, it's your time. Let me borrow some time for you guys. That's the goodness of having a Gen Z as an MC. Kindly do stand up. Don't worry, even if you're first year, you're still a graduate. Undergraduate students who are here, pharmacy, undergraduate students, kindly just rise and wave. It's an honor, guys. Yes. All right, I can also not miss to recognize our lecturers, our doctors in the School of Pharmacy. I can see my supervisor, Dr. Sarah Vugigi, my mentor, Dr. Gaja, kindly, and I can see also Dr. Meroka is the one who took me through oncology. Now I'm terrorizing drugs there. Kindly, our staff just also stand up and wave to us, our lecturers. Wow. Yes. Dr. Ndubi, I'm still struggling with the structures, but you can see I'm finding my lane. Thank you so much. All right, which group have I also missed? Our photographers and our rapporteurs, they're also doing an amazing job. Just wave with us. Zoom in the conference, yes? Amen. All right, back there, just also wave. It's also your time to shine. That's Dr. Nyandoro would say, kindly shine. It's your time to shine. And thank you so much. And all that are here, maybe I will not have recognized. Our sponsors, Maisha Meds, I'll call you at your time, but kindly, the representative from Maisha Meds, Nanyi Metupa Maisha Leo. Kindly just wave. And I can also see our dear Provost is here, and we appreciate your time for being with us. Thank you. This particular time, the next session that we're supposed to have is a plenary Q&A. I would request my rapporteurs to kindly help me with prepare the stage. And as they prepare the stage, as I said, I'm also a poet, and I prepared a piece as they bring the seats. We'll have a plenary moderated by Dr. Kelvin Manyenga, and there will be Thank you, Daktari. Daktari has said, it's okay, you can relax. Don't worry, you're doing a good job. Greet the congregation. I think I can call you Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm being told because of time, we'll come to you, we'll pick questions, then our guest speakers will be able to respond, okay? So because of time, they'll just respond to wherever the questions will be directed. Is that clear, Daktari?
So I'm inviting questions, or we are inviting questions from the audience for our speakers. If you have any question, we can try and give the opportunity to our speakers to speak to you. Kindly. So as we wait, I can be sharing some questions that I've thought of for Professor Mansoor and Professor Chite as well. For the bench-to-bedside translational research, and also early stage clinical trials, and even late stage clinical trials. Where is the missing link, if I could call it? What really are we missing? From my understanding, part of the reason why, for example, pharmaceutical companies would not fund research in Kenya is because they do not believe we have the financial or economic power to buy their products. Beyond that, what other challenges are there that are preventing us from doing more trials and translational research in Kenya?
It is fair to say that until we were focusing on infectious disease research, which is quite a different kind of research. The world was coming to us because we had the whole population that had infectious diseases, HIV, malaria, TB, Ebola. They come to us. They need us. When it comes to non-communicable diseases like cancer, they go to many other places. They've got easier places to go to. But part of it was that we were not prepared. We were not prepared to have individuals trained to do oncology clinical research nurses, research pharmacists, in terms of capability. That was one. Number two that I did not talk about is our regulatory system was very, very slow. We published data there showed that during COVID, we could activate a clinical trial within 80 days, world record. At the same time of COVID, a cancer clinical trial took 286 days to activate. That clearly was a hindrance. So we think that capability, capacity, and efficiencies within the system were some of the things that were stopping us from getting clinical trials. And then once you get used to one customer, you go to the same customer. I think we, and Chite is doing this very well, at the ASCO, at the international front, talking about our capabilities, publishing, showing that we can, and showing the work we have done. That, I think, will change the mindset. It takes some effort, and the work that's being done by NCI, with now Melly going all the way to Vienna, not to see the small horses, but to really present the work of the NCI to say, yes, we can. That will make the difference.
Just as he said, I don't really have additionals. So one of the problems I realized, so I did my undergraduate in Kenya, and then I went and did my internal medicine residency, the master's in internal medicine and hematology-oncology and bone marrow transplant in the US. And I realized that our curricula, generally, in undergraduate, does not really focus so much on research. And even if they teach you research. So most of the time you go to meetings and people say, I know components of research. I know what the p-value is. I know what hazard ratio is. But they've not had the practice of it. And that's why a course that is being run by Professor Mansoor, like CITP, and for those who've attended, you've seen, it actually mixes both the knowledge and the practice. And I realized that you can talk about research all you want, but until you actually do it, you won't really be able to discover some of the things that you can actually do. That is one. Number two, it's kind of a chicken and egg issue where we say less than 1% of clinical trials in oncology are actually done in Africa, yet we are about 1-point-something billion. So out of the 8 billion people on Earth, we really actually represent a very huge population that is really unexplored. So what actually that tells us, courses like this, Masters of Oncology, in oncology, pharmacy, as well as all the other trainings, whether it's infectious disease, for you undergraduates, you really have a very nice opportunity to start your research early, start asking questions, even just observational studies. You don't have to go all the way to clinical trials, but there are so many other studies that you can do, cohort, retrospective. Just be in the business of asking, what else can we do? Even quality improvement projects within your system, just seeing what else can be done better. It's actually part of doing research. That is two. Number three, obviously, Dr. Kelvin has talked about the issue pharmaceutical companies don't really want to invest. But we've seen a lot of movement towards investing in research in our setting. So what we really need is actually to train more people to be able to be competent enough to do research. And you can even see from National Cancer Institute, and I'm so glad that Dr. Melly is actually at the helm because he also believes in a lot of research to spur progress and inspire growth. And I think one of the things Professor Mansoor did mention, and this is one of the reasons we are currently doing a course with the current class, the second years in oncology, pharmacy, and pharmacogenomics. And one of the things is that we realize there's so many differences, whether it's genetic and otherwise, that can actually affect pharmacokinetics, drug metabolism, and all that. And all the drugs we are using, most of them, have actually been approved based off on data from the Caucasian population, which we already know we are different from the Caucasians. And even African Americans are different from the Caucasians in terms of how they metabolize, the efficacy of some of these drugs and all that. So pharmacy coming in as a missing link will actually, honestly, I believe, inspire more clinical trials in our setting. Some of my observations. And regulatory. So let me not forget regulatory. So Professor Mansoor says this, I think I did 2 of my clinical trials 6 years ago. I go through the entire process of a clinical trial from, when the site is selected, all those things, and you submit everything. And it took 1 year for it to be approved, to the extent that by the time the clinical trial was being approved to be done in Kenya at my site, the sites had already closed on enrollment. So, you know, most of these studies, they are not waiting for Kenya. They're not waiting for Chite. I mean, these studies have competitive recruitment around the world. So you are doing the same study that is being done in UK, that is being done in Netherlands and other places in the US. So when they reach the number they want, if they say we want 360 people for this phase 3 trial, once they reach 360, they don't care whether you are there or not. So those two studies really, and remember we did all the work, including, you know, SIVs and all these things, including even the IMP at the site, the investigator product at site. And we still didn't do the study because they had already closed on recruitment. So regulatory approval, when it takes so long, it actually also decreases the interest and the appetite for some of these sponsors from bringing trials to our setting. And I think this is where NCI, as they're stepping in to help in improving that kind of regulatory approval process, to make it a little shorter. If we were to be approved within 2 to 4 months, we'll do so many more studies, I think.
Thank you. Let's appreciate them. So the message is very insightful, that the gap is in our capacity. So that means there is opportunity, especially for our postgraduate students, to grow and you know, provide this capacity that is needed. Then the other issue they mentioned was regulatory rigidity, yeah? And I'm sure NCI is smoothing that out. I think it looks like a bright future ahead. Thank you so much. So my other question comes from, or is for the second speaker. That's Emily Barcito. You really gave a good account of what NCI is doing with the pillars of cancer care, of cancer control in Kenya. So I really don't have much of a question other than to commend the good work that you're doing, but also encourage the research initiatives that you have. I think myself and some of my colleagues have applied for NCI grants. Yeah, and I can see some of them shaking their heads, meaning that perhaps they have not been successful. Which is, I mean, it's part of the process, the grant applications process. Please do.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for applying for those grants. We're actually pushing for more funding, but you find that when we put out the application, for example, the application, the call that we had for this year, we had 230 research applications. 230 from, I would say, all the universities in different aspects, different angles, health financing, everything, literally everything in oncology space, yeah? From screening, literally cutting all those pillars. Now, we saw that really, that's why we haven't yet released the results, because we are still looking for more funding so that we can fund as many as we can. In the second National Cancer Summit, we actually had presentations of results from the research, various research programs that we had funded, right from Fisher Fox in Kisumu, to Ajir, to some from Coast Lamu, like that, everywhere. But you find that we were not able to fund as many as we really wanted. Yeah, we were not able to fund, I think we were only able to fund about 30 of them. 30, when you consider an application of about 280, 300, 200, that is really very small. So we are lobbying for more funding, both from Exchequer and from other partners. That is why we also have now a partnership with Washington University. Sorry, we are used to calling it Washington. Yes, Washington University for lots of, for funding aspect, and AFD through Tanzania, I think, yes, so that we can have more funding for research, because it's key. But if you need data on cancer, a lot of it, our National Cancer Registry right now is quite, the data is now quite quality. So you can actually apply to also, to request for that information. You can request for that information. So it's not just about funding. We can also be able to collaborate with you when you want to do research and you need some data on a National Cancer Registry, you'll get it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Let's clap for her. So I think that means for those of you who applied, the results are still not out. There's still an opportunity to get the funds, which is very encouraging. Moving on, I'd like to pose the next question to the last speaker, that's Dr. Irene Weru. I really needed some help here because I've read your paper. We read your paper as part of lecture series or part of our learning for one of the courses for the first year MPharms, if they can remember, on the role of oncology pharmacists. So I may not have a question on that. I hope somebody comes up with one. But what I would like you to expound on that you have not perhaps spoken about is nationally, the national outlook, especially from OPSOC, the Oncology Pharmacy Society of Kenya. What is the next focus area, or what are your priorities to improve patient and professional, or in terms of patient and professional advocacy for oncology?
Okay, so I think one of the things that we are, let me just stand so that they can see, communicate differently. So one of the things that we are hoping to do is to work with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to actually clearly define scope of practice for oncology pharmacy. We need to get to the place where we have protected titles, which is something that is not there. And what I mean with by protected titles is everybody working in the oncology space says they are oncology pharmacists. So then if my working in oncology just automatically gives me the title oncology pharmacist, so why are you coming back to school? Why are you investing in additional training and going through the hassle? So we hope that moving forward, we can actually work with the Pharmacy and Poisons Board to clearly define the scope so that if you have technologists working in oncology, I saw one of my other friends, Dr. Masita, had signed in, and KMTC has a great plan to have a course, I think, in the future. They have courses in clinical pharmacy for technologies. They have courses, I think, in renal pharmacy, etc. But the question is, how do you differentiate a technologist who's done renal pharmacy and a clinical pharmacist who's actually specialized in renal pharmacy? We really need to clearly define the scope of practice and to have a clear progression in terms of that scope. That will actually help us to have better standards of care and to also call each other up to a professional standard. Then the other things in terms of advocacy, we are looking at medicine safety for our patients. Truly, that is within our space as pharmacists. There's a big area in biosimilars, and I think probably tomorrow in the masterclass, one of the topics we'll be looking at is biosimilars. We have our patients getting products which we cannot really guarantee quality, and so we ask ourselves, as pharmacists, what can we do working with the regulator to ensure that our patients get the best quality of the medication that we are giving them. So there's a lot we are hoping to do. Some of that we've already started the journey towards it. I think some of you saw the piece that we did on the media, which was written by Dr. Gavin a couple of weeks ago, just talking about the issue of the substandard medication. So that's one of the things we are doing, and moving forward, I think we can do a lot more. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's appreciate her. And let's also appreciate our other guests for answering the questions that we've raised. Warmly, please. Warmly. More. I need more claps. Moja. Bili. Tatu. Funga. Fungua. I hope that was convincing. All right. At this juncture, I'll welcome the MC to take us through the remaining portions of the program. Thank you.
Let's also give Daktari moja, fungua. Fungua. Funga. Thank you. Indeed, I hope as pharmacists tutafuata nyayo. Asante. So at this particular time, I want to close in style, and I want to, before I welcome the sponsor, highlight by Maisha Meds, allow me just to do this brief piece as the speaker comes for a 5-minute presentation. Then after then, we'll have awards, and thereafter we'll do the vote of thanks, and we'll have finished the first bit. So in poetry, what we do is when you hear a line that catches your soul, you do what? You snap. Now I'm not MC Ogoti, I'm Ogoti, the boy child, the only gentleman with a boyish name. So listen to this. They told me that cancer was a thief, that it steals tomorrow's breath while you're still inhaling today. But I met her, or when I met her, she stood still. She wasn't wearing a black mask. She wore a white coat, coated with the instruction, resilience, QID. She called herself chemotherapy. She said, I take your hair, yes, but I give you back your hope. They said cancer is a war, so we sent our soldiers, pharmacists, soldiering on with syringes like spears, doctors with stethoscopes slung like shields, nurses who fight without rifles but with reassurance. And me, I came with the weapon of my choice. Words, because sometimes the tongue is mightier than tumor. Cheki vile najituma. I remember a patient once told me, Doc, it's not the chemo that scares me, it's the bill. And I told them, my brother, you're not fighting just cancer. You're fighting capitalism in a white envelope. Thank me later. Now, the whole world laughed. Pain became punchline. When reality hits better, because laughter is medicine without dosage. Cancer has many names. In the lab, it's metastasis. In the ward, it's mortality. But in this conference, it's motivation. Motivation to advance access, to close the gap between patient in Kericho and the protocol in Geneva. Now that's our cup of tea. Simnipigie makofi. Now, we make sure that hope is not just sold as a luxury, but prescribed as a right. So today, that's why we all write this oncology future. So let's not only count the cells that die, because if we do, then we're still in a cell. Yes, counted by bars that we only created for ourselves. So let's count the dreams that live. Yes, I mean the despair that lives. Let's not only write prescriptions, let's write policies and dispense hope, because the real cure is not just in molecules, it's in management, money, and mindset. So leo, tumejiseti. Cancer is a story that we refuse to end with a full stop, even when we are chained to a comma. We will punctuate it with commas of care, semicolons of silence, and the question marks of curiosity, until the final sentence reads, survivor. Thank you. At this particular time, allow me to welcome Maisha Meds, Dr. Judith Joey, to give the sponsor highlight. Thank you. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon. I'm so grateful to be here. I want to thank the Kabarak University School of Pharmacy for allowing Maisha Meds to be part of this great conference. I'm just here to introduce MaishaMeds. Most of the time, people confuse the name when they hear it, MaishaMeds. They assume we manufacture drugs, but that is not true. So MaishaMeds is a technology-enabled company whose core value is to improve quality, accessibility, and delivery of medication across Africa. We have an Android-based system used by both private and public facilities to manage the sales of drugs and also to help them dispense. MaishaMeds started operations in 2018, and we are currently in Tanzania, Kenya, and Uganda. So our innovative platform, we develop tech for drug shops, pharmacies and clinics that often rely on pen and paper with a focus on the private sector and low connectivity settings. On patient support programs, so within the app, we layer on an evidence-based platform for service delivery and digital reimbursement, covering malaria, HIV, women's health, vision care, and more. And currently, we are in partnership with NASCOP, piloting facility model where patients of care are able to collect their drugs within the pharmacies that are nearest to their location. So it's still on piloting phase. So our network, we have over 4,500 sites in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And majority of these are peri-urban and also in rural. So annually, we record 23 million patient visits in all our sites, and we are looking forward to recording 10,000 plus sites by 2026. Our impact, our impact lies in the power of small financial nudges that lower costs, rewards quality care, and shift patient and provider behavior. We have done 1 million plus patient reimbursements to date. We started with malaria, where we were ensuring, we wanted to bridge the gap. Currently, we know that there's a lot of over-the-counter prescription when it comes to malaria treatment. So MaishaMeds is trying to bridge the gap because we know that the first place that people usually go to when they're not feeling okay is the pharmacy instead of going to the hospital. And whereby when they go there, most of the people that sell drugs in pharmacies, especially the private ones, most of them are business-minded. So if somebody insists that they want over-the-counter, they just go ahead and dispense it. So we try to bridge the gap by, one, ensuring that the cost of testing and the medication is very subsidized. So like currently, normal cost for testing malaria is 150, 100 shillings, give or take. But when you walk into a facility that has partnered with MaishaMeds, a patient only pays 40 shillings for testing, and if they test positive for malaria, they only add 60 shillings for a full dose of an antimalarial. And in that case, we are trying to bridge the gap and also try to encourage facilities that partner with MaishaMeds to try as much as they can to test malaria first before selling the drugs to the patients. And not only that, we're also trying to help especially women 40 years and above who are not able to read with offering subsidized cost for reading glasses across all the pharmacies that we have partnered with. And we have also partnered with some county governments like Makueni County. They're currently using, the MaishaMeds POS in their stores to manage their drugs. We realize that there are a lot of expiries that are recorded in county facilities. And without a good system, they're not able to catch that in time. So with our system and with, we also do a web-based dashboard for them. So they're able to distribute drugs equally from a facility that maybe the drug is not moving fast to a facility where it's needed, to also try to eradicate the loss that they incur from short expiries. We've also partnered with Kisumu County and Migori County who are currently using our system. And the reason why we are here, it's because we know that majority of the students here are potential employers and employees in future. And we just wanted to let you know that when you go outside there, even now while we are seated, I believe you know a person or two who runs a pharmacy. They may not have a good system to help them manage their inventory. And we just wanted to inform you that there's a more affordable, user-friendly application that is easy to use. You only need a phone, an Android phone to use, so you will not incur a lot of costs in terms of investing in a proper system. That will be all from Maisha Mets. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much to our sponsors for ensuring that science is not just researched, but also resourced. Ladies and gentlemen, in pharmacy, we definitely know that every prescription must end with instructions. Now in conferences, those instructions comes as vote of thanks. To deliver that, I want to take this opportunity to invite the Director of Research, Innovation and Outreach, Dr. Philip Nyawere, who will give us a vote of thanks and who will welcome Dr. Faith Oed for the word bit. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ugot, for welcoming me here. I'm delighted to stand in front of you, School of Pharmacy. And first of all, I want to thank or acknowledge our Vice-Chancellor in absentia, Professor Kiplangat, who graced the occasion. I appreciate Professor John Ochola, DVC Academic and Research, who has stayed all the way with us. I acknowledge our Provost for just sitting and listening. In the morning, I saw he had a lot of interest in discussion on cancer. And to our keynote speaker, thank you so much, Dr. Mansoor, Saleh, for taking time to be with us here. I want to appreciate everyone who has graced this occasion. I want to appreciate your presence and support. Professor Fredrick, Chite, thank you for being here with us. Dr. Irene, Dr. Emily, each and every one of you. Now, I'm coming here because we, at the Directorate of Research, Innovation and Outreach in Kabarak University, we have 14 conferences in a year. So everything that you are seeing here, we've been working hand in hand with the committee of the School of Pharmacy. And I want to acknowledge that committee led by Dr. Kelvin and Dr. Rosobat for the great work they've been doing. To our partners, let's continue walking this journey. And we'll be giving you time to be able to have your time to tell us what you're doing, like what Maisha Meds have just done. Of course, I'm acknowledging also ICI for that partnership. I also want to reiterate what the DVC said, that we are running two functions at the same time. Right now, we are having Central Rift Innovation Week going on the other side, which started on Monday. And the other side is also just as full as here. And that is how serious Kabarak University takes the issues of research and innovation. So, of course, we've organized for your lunch, so don't worry. Bili ya leo ni kwetu, so just relax. It is taken care of. And may God bless you as you continue with the discussion on issues pharmacy. Myself, I'm in physics, computational physics, modeling. So we can model anything. And so I'm sure that is where I am. So if you see me not so much keen, it's because you can't do everything. But I want to acknowledge that doctors, you are doing great work. If you are not there, we will not be able to sit on our computers to do the modeling. So thank you for the work you are doing, and thank you for prescribing to us the correct medication each and every time. So the people in charge of this is Dr. Rose Obat and Dr. Faith Towet. Dr. Rose, just come so that we consult first. Just come over so that we consult. Thank you. I can see Dr. Faith is here. So I want to kindly request our DVC, Research and Academics, Professor John Ochola, to come over and do the awarding of, rather it's just a token of appreciation to you sacrificing to come over. That bag has got some gifts. I think the School of Pharmacy decided to upgrade it, but I know from our directorate, we put for you something there to make you remember Kabarak University. So the first person is Professor Mansoor Saleh, our keynote speaker. Can we clap for him as he's given his gift? Our camera people, where are you? Thank you, sir. Let's clap for him for that. Thank you, Prof, for that. And the next person is from ICI, Professor Fredrick Chite. Welcome, sir. Can we clap for him? Thank you so much. Then the next person is Dr. Irene. Can come over. Thank you for your elaborate discussion this afternoon. Let's clap for her. And then we have Dr. Emily. Kindly come over. Emily Barcito. We appreciate your presence with us. Thank you so much. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We are done. I want to kindly request our Provost, Reverend Justice Mutuku, to come and close for us this session in prayer. And then for our guests, you have a very special lunch in our catering department, and also for the Senate reps that are here, and not the Senate reps, but rather the management that are here with us, and our keynote speakers. Your lunch is ready just around here. So after that, students, you'll get your meal cards, and the staff, we have taken care of that. Thank you so much.
Sorry for breaking that protocol, but I had an important announcement to make. You do understand that our evening program will be divided into 2 breakouts. So breakout 1A, I do believe, it will be here, and breakout session B will be in the postgraduate seminar room, which is in the School of Pharmacy, next to the Dean's office. Hope that is clear. Breakout 1 here, this hall, auditorium, then breakout session B will be at the postgraduate seminar room. Tomorrow, the master class will be here. Hope you master that at this hall. Then the innovation competition will be at Sawia. With those parting shots, I want to appreciate for your time. You've been an amazing audience. I go by the name Ogoti the Boy Child. For those who have been asking where they can get me, anywhere, Ogoti the Boy Child. Thank you so much.
Let us pray. We thank you, our Heavenly Father, for giving us the grace and the sufficient strength to sit for such a long time. But above it all, we are grateful for the enriching presentations that have been done. We pray for our brothers and sisters who will be traveling after this to their destinations, that truly the words of Deuteronomy 31 verse 8 will be their portion. That God himself will go ahead of them, will be with them, will never leave them, and will protect and cover them. We also thank you for those of us who are continuing with the conference, that you give us the strength that we need. We thank you and appreciate the patience, the discipline, the concentration we have witnessed with our students from the School of Pharmacy. We pray that you continue to uphold and strengthen them, even their faculty members and staff members. And now as we break for lunch, we appreciate that this is a gift from you. It is not obvious that we must have food. We know this is a grace that you have made it graciously available to us. We thank you for those who are prepared what we're going to take and those who will serve us. We pray that we take it with gratitude as we pray for many Kenyans who may not be able to partake in a meal because of various challenges. We pray that you remember them. And so bless us as we take a break now and as we enjoy the gift of food that you provided. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.
Dr.
Good afternoon. So we have the meal cards for the students. You can also take your refreshments. Delegates, I have your meal cards. Lecturers, you can help me give them a lift up to Zarephath Hall. Thank you so much. We'll start at exactly 2:15, so kindly keep time. Delegates, Masters in Oncology students, you're our delegates. All presenters, visitors, we can go to Zarephath. Our lecturers, we can go to Zarephath.
Well, for my fellow graduates, I know as a content creator, this is something we must say. If you want to interact with my work, I'm the only pharmacist with a poetic album. Just go anywhere.